Citadino has to settle for second. Luther Pass, Topper's Wager, Speed of the Mile, a distant fifth. April Vintage to the outside. We're in the gate. And they're off. Fast start for April Vintage. Soho has speed too. And here's Girl of My Dreams coming through quickly along the inside. And Girl of My Dreams trying to get the lead, but April Vintage matches strides with her. Girl of My Dreams a little too quick. 3 lengths back, Soho, Perfect Trip in third. Followed by I Scream, You Scream. Rascality is racing in fifth past a half-mile pole. 6 lengths off the leader. Followed by Elegant. Esprit Enchant second to last. And Sham Rockin' is far behind. Around the far turn, Girl of My Dreams leads at a length and a half. April Vintage in second. Here's I Scream, You Scream making a nice move on the outside to take third. Soho is tucked in fourth, racing 2 clear of Elegant, followed by Rascality. On the outside of them, Esprit Enchant and Shamrock in top of the stretch. And I Scream, You Scream in the center. At the rail, Soho had to take up. Rascality is finishing with interest, moving into second, and then April Vintage. But I Scream, You Scream, another superb effort. I Scream, You Scream by 4.5. Rascality was second. Shamrock came out of nowhere to be in a photo for third with Esprit Enchant, and in behind them was Soho. Murph, win big today. Cheers to another 50. Love, Michelle. And they're off. And Nooney rockets out of there, opens up 3 lengths in the blink of an eye. Lee's Baby Girl comes away in second, and Clapping Trees is down at the rail. She's My Flame in between those two, and Pretty Cece at the back of the field. It's Nooney into the far turn. Leads it by 4 lengths very comfortably. Nooney's speeding right along with less than 3 furlongs to travel. Clapping Trees in second, followed by Lee's Baby Girl. On the outside, Pretty Cece trying to pick up a little bit of ground, and She's My Flame. A quarter of a mile to go, and Nooney running away from the competition. She's in front by 7 lengths and putting on a show. Juan Hernandez looks back, and he realizes this is lights out. Nooney won it right out of the gate, and here she comes through the stretch. Welcome to the racing world, Nooney. She wins by 10 lengths in a gallop. She's My Flame, Lee's Baby Girl, and Clapping Trees. Scratch 4, Yellow Sundress. Post time in 21 minutes. For will be the last one to load. They're in the gate. And they're off. Champagne Cami is going out for the early lead at the rail. Pink Ace has plenty of early zip up to take second and headed for in the perfect spot third. They're followed by Fast Giselle and Smart Kitten 5 lengths off the lead. Strikingly second to last, and Quarry of Thunder at the back. It's Pink Ace passing the half-mile pole, a length and a half in front of Champagne Cami. Another 4 back to headed for who's guided toward the rail. But Fast Giselle trying to deny that spot, racing 2.5 clear of Smart Kitten. Strikingly is next, and another 3 to Quarry of Thunder. Around the turn, and Pink Ace going on with it. Leads it by 2. Champagne Cami trying to stay involved second. It's 3 more lengths headed for on the outside. Fast Giselle is down at the rail. They turn for Pink Ace maintains a 2-length lead. Fast Giselle running a good race, and here she comes. And on the outside of them, headed for Here's Fast Giselle collaring Pink Ace and running strongly to the wire. Fast Giselle and Mike Smith will win it very comfortably. Pink Ace was second. Strikingly rallied well for third. Photo between Quarria Thunder and Champagne Cami. They're in the gate. And they're off. And Betty Pack is quick, but on the far outside, Grania O'Malley, along with Willow Cove, those two were dual. And O'Mandy is in between three right across the track. A gap of 5 suddenly to Betty Pack in fourth, followed by the gray Poncho Barnes, who races a length clear of Lady Quicksand. The two trailers, Play My Speed and Flicka's Ride, is at the back of the field. It's Willow Cove with those blinkers leading the way to O'Mandy in second. Grania O'Malley could not keep pace with the top pair. Betty Pack is down on the inside, making headway, taking third. And then behind her, Play My Speed. Oh, Mandy takes the lead at the top of the stretch. We'll have to deal with Betty Pack, who's coming gamely after her. And down at the rail, Willow Cove keeps on fighting there, an eighth of a mile to go. Oh, Mandy, Willow Cove resurgent along the inside. Still 4 back to Betty Pack in third. A 16th to go, and it's Oh, Mandy. Oh, Mandy draws off to win it by 2.5. Willow Cove was second. Betty Pack third in front of Play My Speed and Poncho Barnes. We're in the gate. And they're off. Smooth start for Sorrento Sky on the outside. Charge for Gold is flashing speed and it's quickest into the first turn. All That Glory in the red colors takes second. Sorrento Sky is now third. Promisio moves up willingly along the inside, hugs the rail and takes that third spot into the first turn. They're followed by Bada Bing racing in between horses. Down at the rail, El Rey Rey is just lacking a little bit of room at this stage. Sketchy moves up widest of all on the outside of Moonlit Sonata in the blue. It's another 2 lengths back to Rostaman Vibe. And the Rabbi has pulled up. The Rabbi pulled out of the race early. Down the back stretch, lots of activity. Charge for Gold just in front. Moonlit Sonata goes to put the pressure on in second. Sketchy takes third. Then All That Glory, Promisio at the rails. Sorrento Sky is just behind them. Then comes Bada Bing racing on the outside of El Rey Rey, and another 2 lengths back to Rostaman Vibe. They're approaching the quarter pole. Charge for Gold, prominent the whole way. Moonlit Sonata pressing. 2 lengths back, All That Glory and Promisio are side by side. All That Glory swings to the outside for the final eighth of a mile. In behind them, Bada Bing is starting to pick up some momentum in the center of the course. They're inside the furlong pole, and Charge for Gold trying to fend off a wall of pursuers. Promisio coming through along the inside. It's Charge for Gold, Promisio. Here's Bada Bing. Here's the line. Charge for Gold, and Kyle Frey holding on over a flying Bada Bing and Promisio.
9 down and 33 to go. That's how many races are left here before we close up shop on Sunday, Father's Day. We've got a 12-race card on Sunday, 11 races tomorrow, and 10 races today. And if you look through the program, a bit of an anomaly. Did you know that in all 10 races, there's no blinker changes whatsoever? No blinkers on, no blinkers off. Very, very rare that you see that on a 10-race card. And of course, in race number 1 today, we've got a super high five carrier over $9,000. Nobody hit it yesterday with that big long shot winner winning the nightcap here at St. Ida. Our guest today, I want to know how many frequent flyer miles he's got. He just flew in from Florida. He was lucky to escape the floods, but he's been at many other tracks around the country. He's also based here in Southern California. His name, Rob Talstra. Rob, welcome to the seminar. Happy Friday.
Thanks for having me. I love it.
It's great to have you here. Now, how many frequent flyer miles have you accumulated this year? Do you have any idea whatsoever? You've been bouncing back and forth all around the country. 100,000?
Every airline, Delta, American, 100,000.
Sure. Now, you were down at Gulfstream Park, and thankfully you got out because the rains were incredible. You basically got the last flight out at 11 o'clock at night.
Got very lucky to be here.
Unbelievable. But you've been to Gulfstream Park, you've been to Lone Star Park, you've been to Hawthorne, you've been to Churchill, you were back east as well. What is it, like that? Those trips were obviously all for business. What's the allure of racetracks? Like, why do you like going to racetracks whenever you travel for business?
Well, it's something that's all week. So if I have a little break, then I look and see whatever's like
whatever's close by.
Whatever's close by, I'm like, well, I can make this one because there's pretty much a track in every city.
Sure.
And so, I mean, might as well, and I could always bet Santa Anita from there.
I was just going to say, you play the simulcast, and you also play 100%. Los Alamitos at night if they stay open.
Every time, every night.
And you've got your own personal OTB on your phone as well. If they're not open, you can still fire away on your phone.
Got the express bet ready and loaded.
Now, you travel around the country, Rob, but you're the typical California guy. You like to surf, and of course, you like playing the horses. How did you get indoctrinated into horse racing? Did your parents bring you? Did your friends bring you? How did it all begin way back when?
Just pure luck. I was about 11 years old, and my sisters were watching a TV show, and they were flipping the channels, and then all of a sudden I saw it was at Hialeah, and it was Seattle Slew.
Wow.
And the announcers were talking about Seattle Slew like he was, I'd never even seen a horse race, didn't know anything, and they were talking like he was like never going to lose. And so I was like, oh, it's a horse, whatever. I'm like, I'll pick this other horse, Coin Silver. And then, of course, Seattle Sioux won by 10 lengths. And I was like, how do these announcers know? How do they know this horse is going to win? So, therefore, I was like, well, he's going to race in the Kentucky Derby next. So, I decided to watch that. And then he won that, of course. And then he went on to be the only undefeated Triple Crown winner in history up until recently.
Right. Bob Baffert says, hold my beer.
Yeah. Till American Pharoah.
Exactly.
So, a long, long time, but that's how I got in. It just hooked me right away. It was a good horse to get hooked on.
So was it the beauty of the sport or the analytical side of the sport, or both? In other words, I think a lot of people get drawn in by the beauty of the sport itself, the jockey silks, the beautiful backdrop. But it sounds like maybe you were intrigued by the analytical side of things.
At first, for sure. And then I was kind of an athlete. I played a lot of sports. And then I saw the riders, and I was like, I want to be a jockey all of a sudden, because I was very small at that time. Of course, little did I know. I was naive, think I would stay that small.
Right.
Dutch is always going to be tall.
Of course, the tallest people in the world.
Tall. My family's very tall.
And how did you morph into becoming an owner as well? You've got a horse in today's card, race number 4, Brazenly, which we'll talk about later. Yeah. You've owned a number of good horses that you made a good profit on. How did you kind of, transition into ownership as well?
That was at Los Al. I decided to just go for it. Like, started real cheap, 2,500 claimer. Keith Craigmile was doing very well at the time. He was winning a lot of races, and my friend was an owner, Mike Flory.
He's still an owner.
He's still an owner. He's a good friend of mine. He's doing really well, and I go, well, I'm just gonna go for it, and because I was always worried about the costs and stuff.
Sure.
But I practiced quite a bit before I did it. I mean, just made some,
bad
hypothetical claims. You know what I mean? What would happen? Blah blah blah. And I won with my first horse. So a couple starts later, and then I just kind of slowly moved up the ladder.
I think what defines you, though, Rob, is you're a value handicapper and you're a value owner. In other words, you probably could buy a lot more horses than what you have. But when you invest into a horse, whether it's a private purchase or a claim, you want to make sure that there's plenty of upside potentially on that claim or purchase. And so you're very selective in what you decide to do. Brazenly is a good example. You bought him relatively inexpensively, and you've had a good run with him recently. Yes. That's what you like to do, both from a handicapping standpoint and an ownership standpoint.
Yes, definitely. That's kind of my MO, is mostly Cowbreds with upside, younger. If I see like the improvement factor, and then I'll just kind of step in, because the program we use with my small trainer, Dan S. Karate, is, we just use all natural stuff. So it takes a while for it to get into the horse's system. Like, it's stuff I use personally myself. So I just come up with like a concoction that seems to, the horses improve over time.
Right.
So it takes time.
Sure. What about from a handicapping standpoint and from a value standpoint as well? What do you do, because you handicap on a daily basis, and some people watching might only be able to play the races on a weekend basis? What do you do that you think most of the general public doesn't do that separates winners from losers? If you had to pinpoint one or two things, do they not watch enough replays? Do they not pay enough attention to speed figures? What do you think the general public doesn't do that you're able to capitalize on?
Well, actually, being an owner has really helped, honestly, because now I look at the book, the condition book, and so that actually helps me big time. That was a major improvement, no doubt. Also,
and let's just focus on that for a minute, because it makes you understand why horses are being placed in certain spots
100%.
From a handicapping standpoint.
100%.
And you might either take a second look at the horse or automatically discard it.
Yes, the level went up drastically when I became an owner. I've been doing it for a long time, but literally that put me in another spot where I could really look at a race completely different. Also, seeing my horses come back from the races, what happened with them. Sometimes there'd be a little bump at the start and their leg would be completely chewed up.
Sure.
And I'd be like, you wouldn't know it at the time. You'd be like, why did you run up?
You couldn't see it on the replay or on the video.
You can't see it on the replay because sometimes it's so subtle. Now that's definitely something I look at every head on. If I see any bump at all, I zoom in and try to see if the legs got hit in any way. Like a perfect example would be California Chrome in the Belmont.
Sure.
Ran a horrible race. After the race, you saw a huge chunk out of his foot, but nobody knew that.
Was not indicative of his overall ability, but it does explain why he put 100%. Forth a bad performance.
100%. Just stuff like that. I would see that on my horses every once in a while, and I'd be like, oh, that's why he ran crummy. So that really lit off a light bulb in my head as well. Like, ooh, these little bumps can make a lot of difference on poor performance.
What about pedigree or speed figures? That's often utilized a lot by the weekend warriors. So let's focus first on pedigree. Do you pay attention to pedigree maybe for a horse's first couple of starts and then automatically discard it thereafter?
Pretty much. I mean, once they start running, they are what they are.
Correct. We saw an example of that yesterday. There was a Michael McCarthy maiden second-time starter. They paid $425,000 at auction. Debut was in a maiden special weight. The connections didn't mess around. They dropped him down to maiden 20, and he won pretty easily because class obviously is a factor when you handicap.
100%.
Sure.
And you got to use every bit of information that you can get. I mean, information is the most valuable commodity I know of, right?
Well, absolutely, particularly at the racetrack.
Wall Street, right? Information is the valuable commodity.
Wall Street. What about from a value standpoint in terms of betting? In other words, you think a horse like Seattle Slew, using him as an example, but he's 1-2 on the tote board. Would you just kind of pass the race, or would you try and squeeze out some value, playing exactas or trifectas? Again, just using Seattle Slew, but coming forward to today's, wagering menu.
Horse like that, when it's that good and they're going off that low, I'll sit back and enjoy
Of course.
I mean, of course, we always like to bet every single race we can, but there's certain horses that I just don't need to bet. They're just so exciting that I'm like Zenyatta or something.
Sure.
I mean, granted, I did bet Zenyatta. So that's
But that's something you're real proud of. As a handicapper, you still cash the
sometimes
ticket.
You want to just enjoy those horses. I just stay out of the race. You know what I mean? Like if the odds are just so bad and you don't think the horse can lose, then there's really no point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just enjoy it.
We're going to enjoy the next 30 minutes listening to Rob tell us who he likes on today's 10-race card, including race 4, where he owns Brazenly, running up against a Bob Baffert potential monster. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's Friday's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place where the track is fast, the turf is firm, and the rail on the turf is out 20 feet for today's action. We kick off closing weekend of the Hollywood meet with a 10-race program. Here are the early changes. In the first, we have a super high five carryover from yesterday of $9,051. Great wagering opportunity in race 1, which starts the early pick 5. In the second, scratch number 3, Aloha Dreamin', and with that scratch, there's no show wagering in race 2. In the third, no super high 5, scratch 2, Magic Account, and scratch number 8, Sanger, 2 and 8 out of race 3. We start a middle pick 4 with race 4, number 2, Happy Sprinter, 2 pounds over. In the fifth, scratch 2, Log On to Win, and scratch number 4, Lemon Sushi. The $1 pick 6 begins with our 5th race. Turning to race 6, there are no changes. In the 7th, start of the all-turf pick 3, legs 7, 9, and 10, will be the all-turf pick 3, races 7, 9, and 10. Also the start of the late pick 4 with no changes. In the 8th race, no changes. Race 9, no super high 5, scratch number 7, Mare's Girl. And in the 10th race, we have the program scratch of number 10, Track and Field. Those are the changes on today's card. Remember that we have special weekend activities. The infield will be open for all the family fun tomorrow and Sunday. And of course, on Father's Day, we have Drams for Dads. You can find out all the information at santanita.com/events. Of course, Sunday closing day will have mandatory payouts in all pools, most notably the pick 6. 57 minutes to post for the opener at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest today is Radar Rob Talstra.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with horse player and owner Rob Talstra. He's happy to be in Southern California, his home base, because he was in Florida just yesterday and was able to get out of there despite the torrential rains. In case you haven't heard, Gulfstream Park canceled racing both for today and tomorrow, Saturday. That means no coast-to-coast pick 5 tomorrow, Saturday. Stay tuned to see if they'll be running on Sunday. That announcement has not been made yet. Okay, Rob, a lot of ground to cover, 10 races. Good 10-race card, including yesterday where we had 9 solid races. We kick things off in race number 1, sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. The rails today are at 20 feet. Race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5, and this race is for Calbred fillies and mares, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. The morning line favorite in the current betting choice at 6-5 is number 6, Safa, a little bit camera shy with just 1 career victory. Before we get your thoughts on the race, we want to watch a replay that the inside 2 runners exit. Number 1, Grazin' in Sun, and number 2, Vronsky Feint competed against each other back on May 10th. The distance of this race was 6 furlongs. They're going to be running an extra half furlong today, and Grazin' in the Sun, who drew the rail today, you'll see shows speed as the 4-5 favorite. He's going to be wearing I should say she's going to be wearing saddlecloth number 5, and Vronsky Feint, the eventual winner at 30-1, is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 3. They're going to break out next to each other in this replay. So let's listen to Frank Miramai describe the action back on May 10th and watch Grazin' in the Sun and Vronsky Feint compete against each other.
And they're off. Awkward start for Isa Court. Hottitude is out alertly, so is Grazin' in the Sun. Grazin' in the Sun up to take the lead. Vronsky Feint is 2 off them in third. They're followed by Isa Court, who moves into contention. Big Hopes 1 from the rail, and Sharp Ride is 5 lengths off the lead, held by Grazin' in the Sun. Going by the half-mile pole, leading by 1.5 lengths now to Hottitude. At the rail, Vronsky Feint with Isa Court 4th, 3 off the pace, then Sharp Ride and Big Hopes. Less than 3/8 to travel, and it is Grazin' in the Sun leading the way, 3/4 of a length. Hottitude trying to press in second. 2 more, Vronsky Feint and Isa Court, followed by Sharp Ride and Big Hopes. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. And Grazing in the Sun and Hoditutor head and head. Center of the course, Isocord is finishing with some interest. They're inside the furlong pole down at the rail. Vronsky Feint also running a big race. And here's Vronsky Feint putting the head in front of Grazing in the Sun. Vronsky Feint, a rail skimming ride. Vronsky Feint, a huge upset to close out the pick six.
Rob, that replay we just watched turned out to be a live race. The third, fourth, and fifth place finishers all came back to win their next start. Those runners would be Harlitude, Sharp Ride, and Issa Court, certainly flattering the performance of both Vronsky Feint and Grazing in the Sun, who finished in front of them. You do like Vronsky Feint a little bit, but you do like the post-time favorite, or I should say the current betting choice, a little bit more, number 6, Safa. Tell us why.
Yes, I mean, yes, he's definitely camera shy, like you said, but he's been camera shy against, I think, better.
Including last time out in the Miller Stakes.
Absolutely. And then I watched his last few works, and he looks definitely ready to go. He looks on his toes. The workout reports look good, and when I looked at it myself, they look great. So I think Safa's definitely the horse to beat. And then I would definitely, of the two, the 1 and the 2, I definitely thought Vronsky Feint was, I would choose him over the 1. He had a great gallop out and looked really good. I mean, I like horses that just improve out of the blue like that. It was second off a layoff.
And first time sprinting on the turf.
First time sprinting on the turf. So I mean, I would probably go 6 on top with 2 would be my second choice for sure in that race.
Take note of who the breeder of number 6 Safa is. None other than Derek Lawson. If you don't know who Derek Lawson is, he's a well-known jockey agent around these parts, and he also is the jockey agent for Tiago Pereira. Tiago Pereira rode Rob's top 2 choices. He decides to stick with number 6 Safa. Don't know if that's meaningful, but we'll find out at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time today. Race number 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're going 1 mile on the main track for maiden special weight fillies and mares. Scratch the 3, Aloha Dreaming, leaves us with a field of 4. They're all 3-year-olds, and the morning line favorite on the bottom is number 5 Hymnal, who's the only one that's gone a route of ground up to this point. Favorite here, or are you looking elsewhere, Rob?
It's a tough one to. I mean, it's a short field. It's a very, very little bet. The betting opportunities is probably slim in this one. I thought it was definitely doing the 4 and the 5. I would probably take the 5 on top. I liked his work. I thought his works were pretty decent. He was being held the whole time. And his last race, the gallop out was really good, I thought, as well. The horse that beat him, Miss Roquette, was a 2-5 horse from Oakland, and probably be 2-5 in here as well. So, I mean, Desert Rapids definitely got the speed. Second off a layoff. He definitely improved second time out last time, and so maybe it could happen again. So, I mean, I couldn't get around the 4 and the 5 here.
Fair enough. 4, 5, 5, 4 in a very lackluster race number 2. Card gets better in race number 3. We're back sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf course for $25,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. 2 scratches out of this race. Scratch the 2, Magic Account, as well as number 8, Sanger. Leaves us with a field of 6. Morning line favorite on the bottom, number 7, Pinehurst. 2-1 on the morning line. A couple of comments about Pinehurst. This is the first of 4 morning line favorites that trainer Phil D'Amato saddles on today's card, and Pinehurst might be the hunch play simply because the U.S. Open Golf Tournament is in Pinehurst, North Carolina, day number 2 of that event. Not sure if you're much of a golfer. It really doesn't matter. Who do you like in this race and why?
It's definitely the hunch play. I'll probably use him on my pick 5.
Okay.
But in terms of a top pick, no. The scratches definitely narrowed it down. So I definitely thought Eastbound would be my top choice. He raced 1 back. I actually used him that day. He was 11-1, and he slipped through. They were going pretty fast, but he got a nice second. He was well clear of the 3rd place horse. This last race, he had 0 pace to run into, and it was a merry-go-round race. So I think with the speed, it looks like most of the horses need to be forwardly placed here. So I envision the 1 getting a pretty decent trip again. And I would like him to get up as my top choice, with the 6 being my second choice, Manchild. He ran a pretty good race. He was claimed for 50, now dropping for 25, but it looks warranted. So I'm not too scared of the drop. And I think he would be my second choice.
Manchild, Rob's second pick, trained by Kristen Mulhall, emerged victorious yesterday with Gimme Duluth. So certainly that stable is going well. And Eastbound, a little bit camera shy, 1 for 14 lifetime. Let's talk about the pace dynamics of a race for a moment. You talked about how Eastbound's last effort was in a race where it was basically a merry-go-round race, which basically means the horses that ran 1-2 ran in that same position all the way around the track. Do you just have a photographic memory, or do you make notes, or like what do you do in order to recall so quickly that type of dynamic?
I have a pretty good memory when it comes to horse racing. Outside of that, I don't know. But when it comes to horse racing, I seem to remember everything. So when you like something, you're going to remember.
Of course.
But in terms of the replays, that's something I always do. When I watch a replay, I make a note who's in front, and then I'll go back and see how the front runners lasted and who came from behind, and I'll make notes of it.
Sure.
Wire to wire, merry-go-round. And definitely I noticed the Rexford went wire to wire, and then the second and the third place horses were second and third.
And there's subtle things you can pick up, Rob, when you do that type of trip handicapping. Let me give you an example. There's a three-way speed duel. 2 of them fade back to last, and yet one of the 3 winds up finishing a good second or third. You've got to upgrade that performance, even though it doesn't look that good in the past performance running lines.
100%, I do that too. I definitely noticed that. If somebody sticks around, you got to notice it's a huge performance.
No doubt about it. Speaking of huge performances, race number 4 on a 10-race card means that we offer 50-cent middle pick 4 today on race cards that are 10 races or in excess, which is going to be happening this entire weekend. And race number 4 is named in honor of Spades Luxury. Spades Luxury, a very good chauffeur service available here in Southern California. Their company is going to be out here on track today enjoying themselves. For race 4, we're going 6.5 furlongs on the main track for allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. We've got a field of 5. Your horses in here, Rob. Number 3, Brazenly, which we'll get to in a minute. But number 4, Jackstown from the Bob Baffert barn, hasn't been seen in quite some time. 8-5 morning line favorite. A lot of people wonder, well, how does Bob Baffert win so many races from coast to coast? Well, the workout I'm about to show you is one of the reasons why, because when he works out horses in the morning, he simulates race conditions and they run fast. So it's no mistake or no coincidence that these horses that he runs fast in the morning runs fast in the afternoon. Here's the case and example. This is Jackstown, and take a look at who his workmate is. Jackstown is on the outside. On the inside is National Treasure. If you have a good memory, you know that last weekend up at Saratoga, National Treasure wound up winning the Grade 1 Metropolitan Mile Handicap. So the fact that Jackstown is even within the same zip code as National Treasure, first of all, you have to take notice of. You can see right here, he looms up and tries to challenge National Treasure and does a pretty good job of it until they get about to the 8th pole or maybe even the quarter pole. But, you know, Jackstown, just if you take a look at him on the outside here, you got to believe in this non-winners of 1 race. He's not going to run into any horses that he's going to see that like he saw this morning in National Treasure. And when I talk about Baffert getting horses ready to put forth a peak performance, take a look at the jockey and what he does here now on National Treasure. He just pulls effortlessly away from Jackstown and continues that monstrous run all the way into the clubhouse turn. It's no surprise based off that performance in that final time of 111 flat that he ran so well at Saratoga last Saturday. And, you know, it's sometimes I get disturbed by the people knocking Mr. Baffert because he certainly puts in the effort, him and his exercise riders. By the way, one of his exercise riders, none other than Eric Garcia, who you've used for a long time as basically your stable boy.
Yes, and he was actually on Jackstown in that work.
Did he tell you after that, look, Rob, you better scratch your horse, you got no chance?
Probably running for second.
Exactly.
But he's going to try. He's going to give it his full effort, and he's going to try to win.
Of course he is.
And I watched the work myself, and I realized I'm probably running for second.
Of course. But let's talk about Eric for a moment. I mean, he's a hardworking guy. Mr. Baffert trusts him on a lot of good, lot of his good horses that cost a lot of money. He does well over at Los Alamitos. You just have a lot of confidence in his ability. I do. He's improved drastically in the last, since I've known him since he was 20 years old, I think, and he's about 28, I believe now, and he's definitely improved and got his confidence is really going up. And believe it or not, if you look at the stats really deep, his riding at the big tracks, Santa Anita, Del Mar, I mean, he's hitting at about, I believe, 17, 18%. Not a huge sample, like about 50 starts. Sure. But you have to take the factor in that every single horse he's riding is a price. And he's hitting the board at more than 50%. Exactly. At
huge odds. So
well, he hit the board last time at huge odds, 12-1 or 13-1. You finished well clear at third. Yeah. You didn't run against Jackstown that day, but you did earn a career best buyer speed figure.
Yes.
And this is one of the examples we were talking about where your horse has improved slowly over time. Yes. He's probably going to take another step forward today.
I would hope so. He's just doing very, very well. And I have high hopes that he can get at least second, I hope. Obviously, I don't have the delusion of grandeur to beat Jackstown here, but you never know. It is a horse race.
Of course. So, and you'll be the much better price, that's for sure.
I figure I might go off about 8-9 to 1.
Okay, fair enough. So 4-3, I missed the graphic as we were talking, but 4-3 in race number 4 for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's take a look at race number 5. Begins the $1 pick 6 sequence. Congratulations to the skilled ticket holders yesterday who cashed out on the pick 6 for an excess of $16,000. The pool was big with the carryover, and certainly those handicappers deserve every penny that they got returned. And we kicked today's pick 6 sequence off in race number 5, going 6 furlongs on the turf course. This is a starter allowance race. 2 scratches. Scratch the 2. Log on to win. And number 4, Lemon Sushi, still leaves us with a good field of 8. The lukewarm morning line favorite near the bottom, number 9, Kid Azteca from the Peter Miller barn, 4-1, indicating this is an open race. You agree with that assessment, Rob?
Yes, it looks definitely like a very, very tough race. The horses kind of take turns beating each other. It's basically who's going to get the best trip kind of race. But I did, based on that, I definitely used Heart-Headed as my top choice, just because he's the only one that really hasn't been racing in the 50 non-winners of 3 condition. Everybody seems to be stuck in that level. Had many opportunities, and he's the only one that really hasn't. The upside on him, I think, was a little more. Stay Hot, who he almost beat, is a stakes horse. Really good, really nice stakes horse. So, and it is later in the 3-year-old year now. So I definitely thought Heart-Headed would be my top choice there. Gets Lasix back, get Lasix on, and I also thought Incredible Shot had of the horses that have been racing against each other, that he is the best closer to me. From what I saw in the replays, it looks like he has the best closing kick, and his gallop out last time was pretty good. So I thought him as a price could do it for sure.
8 and 6 to kick off the pick 6 in race number 5. Just a couple additional comments about Rob's top pick, number 8, Heart-Headed, in race number 5. If you go back and look at that race on April 7th, the John Scheer Memorial sprinting down the hill, that was a very good race. The second place finisher came back to win an allowance race at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day by 8 lengths, trained by Doug O'Neill. And the fourth place finisher that you don't see in that particular running line, that runner was Charged for Gold, who did nothing more than win yesterday's last race at a big price, going gate to wire. So I think the race 2 back that Heart-Headed exited, which is his last turf race, is probably his best race. And as Rob mentioned, the re-addition of Lasix could help Heart-Headed get to the winner's circle at a fat 5-1 on the morning line. Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. We're sprinting the abbreviated sprint distance of 5 furlongs for maiden special weight 2-year-olds. We've got a field of 6. Morning line favorite on the bottom, number 6, Midland Money from the Bob Baffert barn at 4-5. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Rob, we want to take a look at some workouts, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, who get up early in the morning and film these workouts so we can make more educated guesses about the first-time starters. So let's first watch the work for number 3, Cardinal Spirit. This work was out of the gate back on June 2nd. When we see the replay, Cardinal Spirit is going to break from the inside and basically go 48 and change from the gate. That's Cardinal Spirit on the inside. The work made as an unraced runner from the Doug O'Neill barn as well. As we continue to watch the work, which I would just categorize as average, the dam has had 3 first-time starters. One of them emerged victorious. I think maybe one of the better things looking at Cardinal Spirit's workout pattern is that there's not a ton of workouts. I like to see trainers enter runners, 2-year-old runners, with an abbreviated work tab. To me, that tells me that they have confidence in the horse's ability without continuing to train them morning after morning after morning. But again, at 4-1 in the morning line, Antonio Fraistu in the saddle. To me, this was just an average work compared to a few of the other works we're about to watch. The workout's going to end fairly briefly here, and both exercise riders will be up in the saddle. But functional work down inside for a first-time starter, nothing wrong with it, just not flashy or brilliant like some of the other workouts we've seen over the last couple of months. Let's take a look at another Doug O'Neill runner drawn right outside of Cardinal Spirit. This would be number 4, Buster's Way. Again, another gate drill, a little bit quicker time. And Buster's Way is going to be here breaking out of the gate on the inside as well. A step or two slow into stride, but you'll see quickly he's able to regather himself and get back basically on the bit quickly. The workmate outside of him is only going to go 3 furlongs and 36 flat. So you know that they're asking that workmate for a lot of early speed as well. So if you were to visually compare Cardinal Spirit and Buster's Way's workout, I think you have to give a little bit of the edge, particularly looking at the body language of the exercise rider. You have to give the edge or the advantage to number 4, Buster's Way. Having said all that, and by the way, as we continue to watch the work, Buster's Way Dam has had 4 first-time starters again, just 1 career debut victory. A little bit of precocity, but not overly tremendous. Now, the runner that is going to get all the focus is number 6, Midland Money from the Bob Baffert barn, as we cue that work, and that workout is going to be on June 3rd. Before we take a look at it, actually, we will take a look at it. Take a look at who the workmate is. Take a look at who the workmate is here. Down on the inside, you might remember this filly who they paid $1.8 million for, who crushed the field yesterday. Another Bob Baffert first-time starter by the name of Noonie. Now, Midland Money is a 3-year-old colt. She's a 2-year-old filly. But although Noonie does get the best of him, just take a look at how big he is, how effortlessly he's doing it. And again, just look at the time compared to the 2 O'Neill runners. Bob Baffert trains them fast in the morning because he wants them to run fast in the afternoon. It's a great simulation. He usually works them in company as well. And Midland Money here just exudes confidence with the rider basically 3/4 of the way up in the saddle. Noonie obviously has a tremendous amount of ability as well. Midland Money 4 to 5 on the morning line, likely to go lower off these workouts. And one other thing I will say about Midland Money, the Chancelot is a first-time sire. He's a first-year sire, I should say. He stands for only $5,000. The connections paid $650,000. That's 130 multiple. If you have a multiple of 20 compared to the stud fee, you're doing great. 130 multiple to me, Rob, tells me that they absolutely adore this horse. I know it's chalky. I know we can only go off what we saw visually, but you, looking at your picks, tend to agree with my assessment.
100%. Enough said.
I hate the short price, but when you throw all the ingredients on the stove,
you said everything that I already had written down.
You have to take what they give you, and maybe it's just a free bingo square in all the multi-race exotics. But again, Bob Baffert potentially could be sitting on another monster. The dam has only had 2 first-time starters, which is 1 third-place finish. But given the purchase price at auction, given the stud fee, given what we just saw with the workout with Noonie, I think Midland Money is going to be a relatively free bingo square for most horse players out there, despite the short price. Race number 7 begins the 50-cent late pick 4 and also begins the $3 alt turf pick 3. We've got a much better betting field here, a field of 9 going 1 mile on the turf course for Calbred, fillies and mares, non-winners of one other than the morning line favorite, the one of 2 3-year-olds in the field, number 6, Moment's Pleasure from the Craig Lewis barn, 5 to 2 on the morning line. Bit of a price here in race 7, Rob?
Well,
according to you.
I thought Moment's Pleasure's got to be the horse to beat.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I think I said 6, 8 on my picks, I believe, but
you did. There we see it right there on the screen.
I mean, Stay and Scam would be 6, probably 3 to 5 in here.
Sure.
If he was in this race. Looks like he's improving a little bit each start. His numbers have gone up. Moment's Pleasure. So he would definitely be my top pick. The 8 looks like a lone speed play. So I think Moments can be pretty close off him. So why not do a 6-8 box on this one with the 2 being my third choice? But that horse just doesn't seem like he ever wants to get to the wire, no matter what trip I've tried to bet that horse many times. I just keep getting beat. Of course, having said, he'll probably win today.
Sure. They tried to put her near the lead last time, and she ran pretty well. Now they switch over to Umberto Rispoli. She's in for the tag as well, and I'll have another kiss. One thing we would expect, Rob, who's your second choice in the race, exiting a 1.5 mile stakes race, now just cuts back to a mile. Certainly you would expect her to be ready as well. 6 and 8 in race number 7, with a little luck to number 2 as well. Race number 8, we're going 1 mile the main track for fillies and mares. $12,500 is the claiming tag. Number 7, Flatter with Jewels, is the 9 to 5 morning line favorite. Although we haven't seen Flatter with Jewels in the afternoon, at least from a published running line, since March 4th. If you have a good memory, you'll remember back on April 4th, Flatter with Jewels actually did run, and the race was canceled because the jockey got tossed close to the finish line, and they decided to cancel the race to protect the safety of the jockey. So that running line does not appear because the race was officially canceled. But Flatter with Jewels did run on April 4th, ran around the track for the most part, but didn't have a jockey on her back, so that doesn't count. Having said all that, who do you like in race 8 and why, Rob?
I'm gonna go actually with the 2, Roman Empress.
I like it. How come?
I thought that day that the Roman Empress won, well, two back, I liked the re-rally against True Friend. They were both dueling. He faded back, and then he re-rallied. Then his last race, the day, my horse actually ran that day as well, the track was really, really deep that day. And I've noticed a few horses come out of that day, and it's a live. To me, it's not a live race; it's a live day.
Gotcha.
So
because the form is clouded and muddied because of the deep track.
Yes, the deep track. It seemed to horses have come out of that day have come back and run really well. So I'm going to take a little shot at with Roman Empress as my top pick, and the Sweet Hello, I thought ran a pretty good race. I mean, it's a weak field, so I thought he ran good enough there, even though he lost by 9. He was well clear of the third place horse, Vulin, and so it's a tough race, but I definitely think I'm just gonna go with the 2 and the 4 here. With the 2 being on top as a little bit of a price.
Race number 9, we're coming down the Hillside Turf Course, 6.5 furlongs in the distance. It's for fillies and mares, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 2 other than Scratch the 7 leaves us with a field of 6. Phil D'Amato trains 2 in here, including the top 2 betting choices, and the favorite is number 5, running with the boys, returning off an extended layoff. Edwin Maldonado in the saddle. Give us your thoughts on race 9, Rob.
I thought running with the boys' last few works looked really good on the Tapeta, I guess what
it is, yeah, the training track, but
the training track,
synthetic surface,
our new synthetic surface. He looked really good over that. I think he's going to come back running, so he's definitely my top choice there. The field isn't the strongest 80 I've ever seen, but I also thought the 3 horse. I thought maybe he might have bounced last time. If you run 1 back, that I thought was good enough to maybe win this race. The common opponent being Excelia. The 2 raced against Excelia, and it was really close with a perfect trip. Excelia had a perfect trip both times, and I thought the 3 horse Rincinto actually beat him pretty handily the time they faced. So the common opponent, I thought made me like the 3 as my second choice.
5 and 3 in race number 9. Still 1 race to go. Today's 10-race card concludes going 1 mile on the turf course for maiden claimers. $50,000 of the claiming tag. Program scratch of the 10 still leaves us with a field of 10. Number 7, Legitimate Target, second off the layoff for trainer Phil D'Amato, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. As I mentioned, could be a big day for trainer Phil D'Amato. He saddles 4 morning line favorites. Who do you like in the nightcap, Rob?
I'm going with the price.
I like
price of the day.
I like it.
So I really like the works of Bound to Succeed. I think he's definitely improved since his last race. I'm going to take him at 10-1 morning line as my top choice. I definitely thought Legitimate Target can win as well. He's going to be my second choice. He did get bumped really hard at the start there. It was a little bit harder than I thought, and I think he definitely finished better than Dealer Special, the 2 horse, which I'll probably use in my pick 5. But I definitely thought the 8 horse would be my price of the day. There wasn't too many prices I could find, but that was one that I did find.
8 and 7 to wrap up a competitive 10-race card. Rob, we're happy you're home, safe and sound.
Thank you.
A lot of sunshine, beautiful day here in Arcadia, California. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Fast and firm racing conditions, of course. Hope you have a great day. Keep in mind, tomorrow racing resumes. 11 races beginning at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Until then, nothing but the best of luck and have fun, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.